On we go, another city, Eddie. I just want to start though, because last week you were in London, we were in London as well. Anthony was bragging all the way on the train over today. He did the 5K. It was his first run, right? It was his first run in a year, in 2 years, he said. He'd never even put a pair of trainers on in 2 years. He said he didn't just beat you, he absolutely leathered you.
Listen, I ran 22:11, right, which for me, I don't know where that came from. Right. But he was in front of me. But you look like the hips or the knee weren't great. And I was for the first 3 or 4K, I was like on his tail, and I was thinking, I reckon I'm going to get him here. And he just kept going. But I reckon they were looking at me, setting off for the first 2K, going, what is he doing?
I swear down, like, so I'd set off like a button. I thought, at first I thought, he's don't keep this one. Then it went on a bit longer than he expected. I was going, ugh.
Yeah, I know.
Mate, you know what I will say? How good are those Nike
really
trainers?
Good. Oh, no, what a cheat code.
Yeah.
The Nike Alpha Fly. I mean, to knock a minute 30 off your PB twice in 5 days, shouldn't be allowed. But yeah.
What he wasn't bragging about is that Will battered him.
Yeah, Will was. Yeah, so he should.
Yeah,
so he should.
Well.
Anyway, this fight. Looking forward to this one for a long time. Again, you can't get any needle out of these two, even if you tried, can you? I mean, it's just been ultra professional all the time. But I think Lee reckons Josh is getting a bit cranky now, and obviously it's that time, isn't it? A couple of days before where that's going to happen. Do you sense any of that?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like the little soundbite. So Josh heard Lee say yesterday that I'm going to hurt him and I'm going to knock him out, and obviously that don't sit very well. Lee Wood turned up in a Ferrari. Josh Warrington said, "What's he doing? What's that? You know, it's not even his." You know, and I just think they're a little bit. I mean, they both look really well. You know, I mean, we all know that the next 16 hours or whatever it is, or 24 hours are going to be tough for both, but particularly Lee Wood. I think probably is a tougher weight cut for him. But I think they both look really healthy. I think Josh looks really fresh. Lee looks probably better than I've ever seen him on a Thursday. And that's what you get when you go into a fight like this, because you get two consummate professionals that know how big this fight is and know that it's a war. And I just feel like both going to give it everything on Saturday. My prediction's coming on strong. This fight does not go 8 rounds. Right? I think both guys can go down, both guys can be hurt, but this fight will be over in 8 rounds. That is what I think.
As you mentioned then, and I think it's fair to say that now two greats of British boxing. But Josh Warrington, who does it on Saturday night, 3-time world champion.
Well, I was trying to remember. Ricky Burns is a free-weight, 3-time world champion. But how many other 3-time British world champions has there been? I mean, I'm going to have to get the research in. Yeah. I was expecting you to know, Ant, because I know you're a historian. But it's a massive achievement, and I think Josh has been doing it for a long time. Yeah. You know, when we talk about the success of Lee Wood, it's really come in the last 2 years. You know, Kanzu, Conlon, Lara, they're 3 massive wins. But Josh has been consistently doing it over 5-6 years at top level. But does that take its toll on you? You know, I think sometimes we're a bit guilty of looking at Lee Wood as the Lee Wood we used to know, which was like a bloke that was just trying to get 6-rounders anywhere in the country. And like,
it's an unbelievable fight.
And I think Josh sometimes looks at Lee Wood and goes, I remember you. I looked at this fight, I think about 3 years ago, you know, when he was in the Golden Tournament, Lee Wood, and we looked at Warrington Wood, because I thought that'll sell well in Leeds, and it was basically decided that it was a mismatch, and it wasn't credible enough. Now he's the favourite going into the fight, so his rise has been incredible, and but Warrington's just a tough, tenacious, and don't you think he's going to come out like a train? I mean,
I do, but I always think he's got a better boxing brain than giving credit for as well, Josh Warrington. I think defensively he's hard to nail, however, it's got to be like that, because I think Lee, there's no secret Lee, it's unbelievably hard.
But also, I think the general feeling is that Lee Wood might be a little bit fragile around the whisker, or certainly fighters that fight him think,
that night, I think I worked at Jazza Dickens, he buzzed him, and there's no denying Josh is a much stronger and bigger puncher than Jazza. So that's what I think makes it a fascinating fight. I think you can make cases for both.
The show's going to roll on quickly again. It always does, doesn't it? It's going to be a busy time for you as well. But are you any nearer giving us dates, sorting stuff out? Conor Benn, Chris Eubank.
Yeah, I mean, December 23 is our date. I mean, I know there's talks of Fury Usyk. I see that rolling into next year, but we'll see. I think we're going to get it made. I really do. I mean, we're going to speak, I've already spoke to Robert Smith this week, but we are going to give the board the opportunity to make a decision if they want to do that fight in the UK. Legally, in our opinion, they have to, but they might not want to, and we'll have to see. But we're ready to go for that fight internationally. I think both fighters have established and determined that's the biggest fight out there for them, and you know, we look to get it made. So I think we'll see what happens over the next really week, because that's kind of the time scale to make that fight.
Would you if Fury Usyk does go ahead that night? I know you said it's doubtful, and a few people think that. Would you go up against it? That's the date.
Yeah, I think not. I mean, you don't really want to. I mean, it doesn't really make sense for either show.
Yeah.
You know, and some will say Fury Usyk's much bigger. I tell you, Benn Eubank's a monster. But what's the value really in both shows going up against it? So it's difficult in that situation because you put your flag in the sand. You know, if we get a deal done in the next couple of days for December 23, we will probably have to come out and go, we're on December 23. Then it's on them to go same night and try and trump us, or go in January. But we don't really want that. It's not a competition. It's just a case of being sensible to make sure two mega fights don't happen on the same night.
You did say that it was great for boxing, obviously, that fight being made, and it's put a little bit of pressure on you to make Josh Wilder. Anything you can tell us on that?
Yeah, I spoke to Shelley Finkel yesterday. I mean, those kind of fights definitely make others, not just ones in the division, say, oh, you know, what am I doing? And I think it made both Joshua and Wilder go, come on, we've got to get ours done. So we're looking at all kinds of venues for that fight. But it's not like, you know, we had an offer from Saudi. It didn't materialise in the end. But it's one of those fights that can go anywhere. The level of money might change slightly, not you know, at huge levels, but you talk about Vegas, talk about Wembley, talk about New York, talk about anywhere in the Middle East. Like, that's a massive, massive fight. That's a $25 million gate in Vegas, plus. So we've got the opportunity to do it. We just got to marry it up with a plan. Josh does want to fight in December himself, ideally, if he's not going to fight Wilder till February or March, and it looks like he won't now. So again, every day it's like you hope that you can nail the plan, hope that you nail the plan, and in boxing eventually everything falls into place and it's done. When that happens, you'll all know within about a nanosecond.
Finally from me, sort of back to this card. Listen, there's no doubt the main event, the atmosphere is going to be unreal. Gives a pick of the undercard.
I really like Terry Harper against Brackhouse, and I actually think that's more of a 50-50 than people think. I think Brackhouse is a big career welterweight who's and she fancies it. And when they fly over with Tom Loeffler and Jonathan Banks, you know they're coming to win. Do you know what I mean? And, but I really like the two British final eliminators. Conor Coghill against Hopi Price, Yorkshire Derby. I want to see Hopi under a bit of pressure in that fight. And Linus Sadofi against Kieran Conway, which I think is a true 50-50. You know?
Fight, say, but I think it's
but I think, you know, I think trade fights are great for undercards. Yes. Do you know what I mean? We know that trade fights don't always sell, but you know that it's a real solid fight for the card. And I honestly think, top to bottom, great show on Saturday night.
You're doing the 5K again this weekend?
Absolutely. I'll be there, but the pressure's on. I don't know if I did a running machine run last night, 22:46 or something. But on Saturday, we had this geezer running with us from Mafia Moves with a beatbox, wasn't he, in his rucksack. It was unbelievable. How loud was it? And we were running through Hyde Park like machines. We were like,
by the way, do you know what, that playlist was a bit
run for Hyde Park, wasn't it? It was, Everyone was just clearing out of the way.
Eddie, thanks as ever.
Cheers.